Every day, you make decisions: what to buy, who to trust, what to believe. But here's the real question. Are those decisions really yours, or are they designed? This channel breaks down the psychology behind everything. I'm Shrest, and this is where we decode the world.
Right now, your brain is actively deleting the middle of your life, and it is doing it on purpose. Let's test this. What did you have for lunch last Tuesday? What was the third email you replied to yesterday? What exactly were you and your partner talking about 2 weeks ago today? If you are drawing a blank, you are completely normal. This is not cognitive decline or a flaw in your memory. It is a biological feature coded into our DNA. We tend to think of human memory like a security camera, passively recording every single second in high definition. But your brain is actually a ruthless editor. Every single day, that editor works to cut the vast, monotonous stretches of your experiences. It lets them fade away, choosing to preserve only two things: your first impression and your final feeling. Because of this biological editing, the days and weeks compress. The thousands of hours you spend working, commuting, and living blur together into a single vague feeling. And that is why it feels like time is slipping right through your fingers. Psychologists call this predictable pattern of remembering and discarding the serial position effect. The serial position effect is a psychological principle dictating how the position of an item in a sequence affects our ability to recall it. Pioneering psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus laid the groundwork for this research back in the 19th century. This diagram shows how we process a sequence of information. We remember the beginning of an experience best because of the primacy effect. Your brain is fresh, your attention is high, and you have the mental energy to transfer those initial moments into durable, long-term memory. Then you have the recency effect on the other end. You remember the final moments of an experience clearly because they are still actively buzzing in your short-term or working memory. Nothing has come after them yet to push them out. The space between is a cognitive battleground. Old information gets in the way of new information, and new information overwrites the old. Maintaining these memories is cognitively expensive. Most of the time, your brain decides the middle simply is not worth the energy, so it stops reinforcing the neural connections and the data fades. Forgetting items in the middle is a ruthless efficiency measure. It is a biological tool designed to prioritize critical information for human survival. This invisible architecture governs your perception of time, explaining why the years seem to accelerate as you get older. Your childhood and teenage years felt incredibly long because they were packed with an endless stream of novel firsts. Your first day of school, your first kiss, the first time driving a car. Each one was a powerful beginning that your brain encoded with absolute priority. As an adult, life settles into routines. You can work diligently at the same job for a decade, but if those years lack distinct, memorable peaks, they biologically collapse into a single, forgettable footnote. The thousands of days between your hiring and your resignation become a footnote in your story. Long-term relationships suffer the same fate. You remember the electricity of the first date, and you remember your most recent argument. But the hundreds of casual Tuesday nights spent on the couch merge into one vague, generalized feeling. Without intentional intervention, the lack of new firsts flattens out our adult existence. It becomes one long, undifferentiated middle that your brain simply refuses to record. We cannot stop the editor from making cuts, but we can give it better material to work with. The solution is to consciously build event boundaries into your schedule. Event boundaries are distinct psychological markers that force the brain to segment continuous time into discrete, memorable chapters. You build these boundaries by injecting novelty into your routine. Doing something new and different forces your brain to wake up. It signals that the current moment is a departure from the norm, and therefore a new beginning worth recording. You also use emotion. Emotion acts as a cognitive highlighter. Events that carry a strong emotional charge, whether positive or negative, are seared directly into your long-term storage, along with the mundane moments that happened right next to them. By intentionally manufacturing moments of novelty and emotion, you create a structural workaround. You trick your biology into saving the exact scenes it would typically discard. To do this, start by adopting a project mindset in your career. Stop viewing your work as an endless stream of tasks. Instead, launch a task with a specific ritual, like a song you only play when starting something new. When you finish, create a definitive ending. Take 60 seconds to acknowledge the effort before moving on, preventing the work from bleeding into a blur. Next, structure your relationships using date chapters. Do not just let a Friday night happen to you. Bracket the evening with intention. Create a clear beginning by stating one thing you appreciate about your partner, and end the night by sharing the best moment you had together. In your personal life, plan micro-adventures. Break your weekly pattern with small, highly accessible firsts. Take a completely different route home on a Tuesday, or listen to a genre of music you have never explored on a Thursday. These defined adventures give each week its own unique texture. Finally, practice the emotional highlighter technique. When you find yourself in a genuinely happy or meaningful moment, pause. Pay focused attention to the feeling and explicitly tell yourself that you want to remember it. You cannot change how your brain is wired. The vast middle of your life will always try to fade. But by consciously creating more starts, finishes, and peaks, you step into the role of the director. You hand your brain a script so rich with compelling scenes that the story you leave behind is a masterpiece.